Hello there, welcoming you again to Chini's Africa Gender Lockdown, where I'm introducing you to the best authors and the best books by Africans. And especially here in Nigeria, we have a lot of brilliant Nigerian authors, some of them lurking in the dark, talents that we're going to bring out and show off. We'll also bring out homegrown movies, mind-boggling poetry, and the best Afrobeat music trending. Today I'm starting off this session with our interview of Madam Regina Amadi Njoku. She's a lady who has over 30 years experience in high-level positions in institutes in Africa, Europe, and the United States. Madam Regina served as International Labour Organization Regional Director for Africa, World Bank Project Coordinator, and Regional Program Director for West Africa for the UN Fund for Women. She lectured in universities in the US and has written on culture, gender, leadership, and development matters. She serves on boards of several institutions. Her latest book is called 3 Leadership Journeys, One Story, which she co-wrote with 2 other brilliant African women, Elizabeth Lwanga King of Uganda and Letty Chiwara of Zimbabwe. In honoring us with her presence, she will now unlock some of her invaluable secrets. Welcome, Madam Regina.
Thank you very much for inviting me for the interview.
Please do tell a bit about your accomplished self, of your achievements as Regional Director for Africa at the International Labour Organization, at World Bank and the UN, and all the wonderful contributions you have made towards the development of women in Africa.
Thank you very much, Inelu. I'm a development and a specialist. And my interest has been in the area of public speaking. I speak a lot and I write a lot. And I'm a thought leader and I mentor young leaders, men and women. I believe strongly in gender partnership and then the power of men and women working together. And it's because of that I founded an NGO, Other Half, that addresses the issue of men and women access to equity in development. I spent also 35 years on higher level positions at the UN agencies, mainly UN Women, ILO, and World Bank. And regarding my achievements, the achievement starts really in the ILO. I was very fortunate to be the co-lead with the AU, the organization of the first ever Head of State's Extraordinary Summit on Employment and Poverty in 2004. The outcome of which really led to the adoption of ILO Decent Work Agenda as a Millennium Development Goal. And that decent work agenda is also adopted again as a sustainable development goal. Then I was again fortunate to have the oversight as the regional director for Africa for ILO, of the transition of we played a lot of role in the transition of the OAU to AU as we deal with the workplace structures. But I also participated crucially in the transition of the Labour and Social Affairs Commission from OAU to AU, and that has led to the integration of the African unions into the ECOSOC of the AU and the integration of the African businesses and employers in the African private sector facility at the EU. And one thing too, I'm very proud of, a big achievement, is being commissioned by now former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, when she was leading UNDP Africa, commissioned to prepare the trends in status of women and overview of all national contributions on reports from Africa for the Beijing conference in 1995. And that report is being used tomorrow actually in developing gender and development agenda policies. And that's how things I have done just for a few. There are others, but I will stop here.
Can you introduce readers and potential readers to your two co-authors of your incredible book?
Yeah, I was lucky again. My two co-authors, first Elizabeth Luanga, had been a colleague and a friend of mine for many years. And then when I was serving as Assistant Secretary General at the ILO, she was serving as Deputy Assistant Secretary General at the UNDP. And we women at the UN always discuss the difficulties or the challenges of leadership at high level. I decided when I retired to write a book on that, and then our experiences are shared so we can pass on to the younger generations. Elizabeth heard about it and to ask me, and then I invited her to join. Letty is today the UN Women Representative at the AU. She was a mentee of mine many years ago, and when she heard about it, actually she was about to do a PhD, because when she heard about it, she jettisoned that to join me in writing the book. And that's how the book came about, and it is that's where we are. That's how three of us, we had fun writing it. We had challenges too.
Your book, 3 Leadership Journeys, 1 Story, is quite a remarkable account on the impact of culture and gender on leadership and on the gender equality struggles faced by African women. How would you summarize the positive aspects of African culture that promotes gender equality, women's leadership, and their partnership with men?
Before I go on to that, I will ask about the book again. That book had 15 women in it from 9 countries, and you can imagine the kind of traction we're getting in promotion of the book in 9 countries. Now, regarding the aspects of our culture that really favors women empowerment and women leadership, we identified more than about 9 enablers. Of course, in Africa, we have these enablers, the negative aspects of our culture, which we must jettison. But the 9, I will just mention about a couple of them here that really help us to integrate women in governance and in leadership structures. First is the Ubuntu philosophy of Africa, which exists everywhere in Africa, what Igbos call the Onyala Nwanne, and then in Yoruba called Omoluabi. And Desmond Tutu has really been promoting this idea, and it summarizes it as saying that I am because we are. It showcases the ethnocentricity aspect of African culture. We believe in family and ethnicity. And then the next one is what is really very fascinating, which has been researched so much and by sociologists and anthropologists. They call it dual sex governance in Africa, in some African communities. The Igbos have it, Yorubas, Ashantis have it. We have what we call male and female shared participation in governance and in leadership structures. And that is one thing, it promotes gender partnership, and that is so complementary that women feel part of governance, they make their contributions, and they have equity, they benefit from development outcomes. And then the other one is women organizations that really serve as a governance structure. These women organize themselves. A women organization is the first school for African women to learn what we call fellowship, leadership, and management. And it's where they learn also sectoral management in the area of marketing, economics, agriculture, health, education, sanitation, and other areas of sector of development. So you can see that African traditional governance have made space for everybody. Women had the space to caucus, youth had the space to caucus, to make their input, and the women were very active in sectoral district. And not only that, women were active in governance, in political governance, because they're so active, they're feminists, they're activists, and they make sure that their rights are really respected, both by men, and in the colonial time, they not only defended their own rights, they defended the rights of their men, as we can see in 29 January Abara women riots, as we can see even Madam Ransom Kuti fighting for women with Alaka of Abiyokuta, as we can see African women in South Africa till tomorrow fighting ANC Women Wing, fighting for the rights of African women as well as the rights of their own men. So you can see we've been there with our men, and we're really proud of our gender partnership in governance.
Thank you so much for joining us, Madam Regina Amadi-Njoku, and sharing your most invaluable thoughts with us on leadership and regards to women through your masterpiece of a book. Anyone who's interested in getting a copy should give us a call or contact us on the following. I want to highlight James Baldwin this session as one of the greatest African American writers of the past, with a short video on his speech made at UK's Cambridge University in 1955. His topic was whether the American dream has been achieved and at the expense of African Americans. A topic that is raging right now with Black Lives Matter issues and the George Floyd case and protests all over the US and all over the world. I don't know who was spreading faster, coronavirus or the I Can't Breathe protests. It has now taken a different dimension to what James Baldwin was talking about. Watch.
It comes as a great shock to discover that the country, which is your birthplace and to which you owe your life and your identity, has not in its whole system of reality evolved any place for you. It comes as a great shock around the age of 5 or 6 or 7 to discover that the flag to which you have pledged allegiance, along with everybody else, has not pledged allegiance to you. It comes as a great shock to discover that Gary Cooper killing off the Indians when you were rooting for Gary Cooper, that the Indians were you. When I was growing up, I was taught in American history books that Africa had no history, and neither did I. That I was a savage, about whom the less said the better, who had been saved by Europe and brought to America. And of course, I believed it. I didn't have much choice. Those are the only books there were. I am stating very seriously, and this is not an overstatement, I picked the copy, and I carried its marks, and I built the railroad under someone else's whip for nothing. For nothing. If one has got to prove one's title to the land, isn't 400 years enough? 400 years, at least 3 wars. The American soil is full of the corpses of my ancestors. Why is my freedom or my citizenship or my right to live there, how is it conceivably a question now? What we are not facing is the results of what we've done. What one begs the American people to do for all our sakes is simply to accept our history until the moment comes when we, the Americans, we, the American people, we are trying to forge a new identity for which we need each other. Until this moment, there is scarcely any hope for the American dream, because the people who are denied participation in it, by their very presence, will wreck it.
Back to my favorite part about top 10s. The listed top 10 Nigerian writers right now are as follows. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, part of a new generation of writers growing in reputation and garnering universal acclaim. That's number 10. Number 9, Adobe Trisha Nwaubani, a novelist, journalist, and essayist who has contributed to the New York Times, UK, Guardian, BBC, and CNN. Number 8 is Teju Cole, a US-born Nigerian and a distinguished writer who was in residence at Bard College, New York. Number 7 is Helen Habila, an African Fellow of the University of East Anglia in England. He then went on to win the Commonwealth Writers' Prize. Number 6 is Sefi Atta. Her radio plays have been broadcast on BBC, and her short stories, which have appeared in several journals, including the Los Angeles Review. Number 5 is Buchi Emecheta, an OBE awardee in 2005. Her most acclaimed work is The Joys of Motherhood, if you can recall. Then number 4 is Ben Okri, a novelist and a poet whose brilliant writings reflect the mythical ancestors and spirits. Number 3, Femi Osofison, is a master of allegory and metaphor. His writing usually has a surreal bent. Number 2, Wole Soyinka. When he won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1986, Africa was proud, and they celebrated him as the first African to receive the award. And of course, number 1, he is known as the father of Nigerian literature. Chinua Achebe is one of the most internationally acclaimed writers from Africa, and his death in 2013 saw an outpouring of tributes from across the globe. As I mentioned before, I am going to be discussing parts of the African film industry, particularly Nollywood. I have set my sights on a few actors and directors who are within our reach and will bring them into our Creative Africa presentations as time goes on. Last time we flashed you my personal top 5 movies. Now let me flash you my personal top 10 Afrobeat artists. I'm a music lover and I love their sounds. I'm spoiled for choice. My number 10 is Fino. My number 9 is Tenny. My number 8 is Techno. My number 7 is P Square. My number 6 is Burna Boy. My number 5 is Naira Marley. My number 4 is Simi. My number 3 is Flavor. My number 2 is Davido. And my number 1 is Wizkid. how conventional, but I can't help it. I just love their music. Just watch a sketch of our poem for today, which is Reminiscing Kaduna by Habila Hansen.
I miss those evenings in Kaduna, where I can walk down Kinkino, admiring the trees. I miss the early morning jogs. I miss sharing seats on the Kaswa bus. I miss my favorite evening mesuya and the Mekose Mamandunia. I wish this is over sooner. I miss my town, Kaduna. When can we go back to the streets? When do families and friends begin to meet? Oh, dear Alkali Road. I can't even get fruits from Station Roundabout. The ever-busy HMH complex, gazing at Ahmadu Bello Way with the chaotic traffic. I miss when we lived without fear. Fear of the invincible enemy. Fear of one another. When can we go back to days of hugging and high fives, of studying in a classroom and going about our daily lives? When next will we visit our loved ones across the bridge? I'm choking beneath these masks of siege. I can tell you when we collectively beat COVID-19. For now, put on your face mask. It doesn't matter if you're 90 or 19. Stand 2 feet apart from other people. Wash your hands and stay safe. Keep me safe and I keep you safe. Together, we can beat this.
Thank you, Habila. That was a beautiful depiction of the times that we now find ourselves in. Next week, I shall be introducing Deborah Ogene and her memorable book, Nigeria 100, Lugard to Jonathan. Here's another poem from my upcoming book, Like Father, Like Daughter, which I'm going to use to sign off the show. It is called Maroon. To turn right or left, to go back or forth, to don a wing and fly high, or bore a hole and disappear. To spin round and round in stupid days, or blaze like a firm that has lost its hold. Must I, awed by the ground beneath, my feet tread like a thief, or stamp in bold relief? Must I pine whilst others fellows dine, or thirst while others whine? Must I lie, or must I rise? Thank you for joining us.
The party done the supper.